All right, y'all. So today we're talking about one of the most unique and fastest growing wedding trends, really, live painting. Is having a live painter worth it for you? Maybe you clicked on this video and you just randomly found it and you want to know, is it worth it for you? Listen, I'm a DJ and videographer. I can't speak into the art world, but today we have an incredible person on the channel here, Mallory Walls. Welcome to the channel. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing so good. I'm so happy to be here.
I am pumped. I mean, you've lived in Nashville when you were younger, and now you're living in Alabama. So you do art all over the Southeast.
Yes.
You do weddings. You do professional murals as well.
I do.
Which is incredible. Shout out to your husband for when y'all got married, your last name changed to Walls. Which,
yes.
How fitting is that?
Right? I always say God had such a funny sense of humor when he paired us together.
Right. It's crazy.
Couldn't be a more perfect last name.
That is insane. And I know I've been following your art page for a while. Mallory Walls Artistry. You guys need to go check it out on Facebook, Instagram. I'm not sure what else you're on. Maybe TikTok too.
Yes, TikTok.
There you go.
All the things.
Check it out. You can see these giant murals that you've painted, which is incredible. I know you did one in Pell City, like downtown Pell City.
I did. It was Pell City's first ever mural.
That was incredible.
It was the most
Tell us about that.
Fun. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. Okay, so it was for Houston Project.
Yeah,
you know Michelle and Craig Tomlin,
probably. Absolutely.
They are the most precious people ever. And me and Michelle, we laughed the whole time just because we had so many crazy things happen during that week. It was like the hottest week of the summer, I think, last year.
Oh, wow.
And we just had so many crazy things happen. Me and Michelle would always joke, and we just said we felt like it was like a Hallmark movie because it literally felt like we had the mayor, the fire department, like all come together to make sure this mural got finished.
Wow.
Because I had another project lined up for the next week. And it was just the most fun.
That's
I
insane.
loved it. And it's still up today and looking great. And so
I love Michelle and Craig. They're one of my favorite people. They are insane and hilarious. And they will even, if they were here right now, they know there are some crazy people.
Yes. I saw them last weekend at a wedding, and I was like, I better see y'all on the dance floor.
Because
you know they're like the best dancers
They are
ever.
the life of the party.
Oh, absolutely. They're so fun.
We're talking all things art today, Mallory. A few statistics for you here. So according to the Knot, less than 5% of couples actually book a live painter for their wedding. So it's actually a pretty rare experience. And a lot of you guys can probably attest to this. Like, you can probably ask your friends, like, oh, like, did you have a live painter? No. Did you? Maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th person you get to. Yeah, I had a live painter. So like, and when it comes to live painters, people want to know when you're talking about like, is it worth it? It's worth it if that's what you value. If you love great artwork, if you love the elegance, like the elegant look of a live painter being there.
Yes,
to
a lot
paint
of people
live.
just love the look of it. To be honest. Yeah, I mean, for real. Like they'll like, yes, like come set up at the ceremony. We want you to like be in our pictures, and like for people to see you as like the guests come in.
Yeah,
that's something that some people really love.
That's a big thing, and a lot of people are curious about the cost of it. And according to Wedding Wire and Zola, the wedding cost for a wedding painter is anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000 and up. You know.
Yes, I've seen some a lot higher than that.
There you go.
Yeah,
it's kind of honestly like a wedding painter is kind of similar to. Maybe a photographer, a videographer, a DJ vendor, where it's like a few $1,000s is kind of typical, but you can always go more with like more
Sky's
specialty.
The limit.
The sky's the limit. Like
yeah,
there's no cap. So the real question is it something that's actually worth it, like to you? You can ask one friend, and most people that you ask, they're gonna say, no, it's not worth it. Like you could spend it on this, this, and this. But if it's worth it to you, I think that matters. So Mallory Walls, live wedding painter, event painter, professional mural artist, joining us today. You create large-scale murals, but also small little paintings for weddings or larger ones. Which is awesome. So Mallory, give us a little bit of your background. How did you get started as an artist?
Okay. So I painted my whole life. Like I literally don't remember a time I have not painted. Since I was little, my whole, like everything I wanted to paint was people. That was the only thing I would ever paint. The first painting I remember ever doing and thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good. I was 4 years old. My mom still has it. She's got like notebooks and notebooks of like drawings I did when I was little. But I literally copied my little children's Bible. It was like a character that was like drawn out in there, and I drew it myself like on my own paper. And I just thought it was like the most beautiful creation ever. This is the first painting I ever remember doing. And then from there, it was just, I just wanted to paint faces. I don't know what it was. That was just what I was drawn to. That's what I love, to capture the likeness of somebody like in a painting, you know?
Right, right.
So yeah, and then for murals, funny enough, my mom actually used to do murals in me and my sister's bedrooms when we were little.
Way. So you got it from her.
And so I always give her a little bit of the credit, because I'm like, I used to watch you and I used to ask for, you know, me to be able to like help you install these murals, and she would never let me. Of course, when I was like a kid, I probably would have like messed it up so bad. And it's funny because now my mom comes along with to mural trips with me and helps me, and so it's fun. It's sweet. Full circle. But kind of going back to this story, so I had painted my whole life since I was a little girl. I got my first commission piece. It was I'll never forget it. I used what am I trying to say? I used Prismacolor pencils and drew out 2 poodles for a man that my dad worked with. He knew that I loved art, and he paid me $200, and I thought I had struck gold. Anyway, from there, I would just take commissions here and there, never really thinking I wanted to be an artist full time. And so I would just say yes to pretty much any opportunity that came my way. I've always enjoyed trying new, you know, painting styles or different methods. Murals was one of those. Somebody randomly asked me. It was actually in Nashville. It was a connection that I had from when I was living in Nashville before with my family. Is one of my parents' good friends, and she was in the business of designing Airbnbs for people. Okay. And she was like, she messaged me one day and she was like, I have this game room that I really want a mural in. Like, would you be interested in coming and doing it for me? Because she knew I painted from when I was younger. Yeah. And I had no idea what I was doing, but me and one of my really good friends from high school, we drove up one weekend and installed it. And from there, I booked more murals. And then with live event painting, I did my very first one in 2021. And it was one of those crazy connections. I booked it through, or I didn't book it. The girl reached out to me, and she was like a crazy connection that was like a friend of a friend of a friend. Yeah. And so she had reached out, asked me to paint at her wedding. And this was before I think wedding painting was like a really big thing. It was 2021, so we're coming out of COVID. I had not really been on TikTok, so I wasn't really seeing all the wedding painting trend that was happening. Right. And so literally I just showed up. I painted everything exactly how I saw it. And I only painted during the ceremony because I was so nervous. I had no idea what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, I had told her before that this was my first live wedding painting, and that I would only be painting through the ceremony, and then I'd take it home with me. And so I think for my first one, it turned out pretty good. But then I was just hated the pressure so much of like people coming over to me asking me like, how long have you been doing this for? And I would, you know, didn't want to say this is my very first one. So I took a 2-year break, didn't do any wedding paintings. Like in the meantime, I had a few people reach out and ask, but then I did one, and it was honestly, I think such like a God thing. I was working in healthcare full time at the time. Okay. And it was one of my coworkers, and we were on our way to a meeting, and me and her were planning our weddings around the same time. Her wedding was a month after mine, and so we were always like talking about the things that we were gonna like have at our weddings and stuff. And she was telling me about how she really wanted a live wedding painter, and she was like, I really want to have one. She was like, they're so expensive though. I don't really want to spend the money on it because I'm already over budget. And I was like, I painted my whole life. I was like, and I did a live wedding painting like a couple of years ago. I was like, if you really want one, I'd be happy to do one for you as like a gift, like from a friend. And that was the best like live wedding experience ever. It was so fun. So anyway, so that live wedding painting experience ended up being the most fun time ever. Yeah. I made a lot of connections with the vendors, got to know the photographer, the wedding planner, and it was just so much fun. I don't know, it was just the atmosphere. Obviously, the bride was my friend, and so she was so kind, and just all the guests that were there. And honestly, the wedding painting, in my opinion, like for the first time I had really like sat down and, you know, worked on the composition stuff, I thought it turned out great. And I was like, I don't know. It was just such a fun time. I knew I really wanted to pursue that further. And so shortly after that, when I decided to pursue art full time was when I started like posting more and getting more bookings. And then I've been doing live wedding painting ever since.
That's incredible. Okay, what's the biggest difference between like painting a mural and going to paint a live wedding?
Definitely the outfit.
Right.
Well, that's definitely one of them. But I mean, I would probably say the social aspect of it. Doing a mural, I would say, can get very. I don't want to say lonely, but I do paint alone most of the time. And so very typically quiet. I'm normally on, if it's like a new space, normally construction site is where I've done a lot of them.
Okay.
Or Airbnbs, of course, is normally just me there. And then obviously with a live wedding painting, you were in the middle of all of the action.
That's right.
And so you have people coming over talking with you, and it's super engaging. And so I would say that's probably the biggest difference between those two.
That's cool. So for someone who's never seen this before, what exactly is a live wedding painter? What do they do? What's the end product? Take us through everything. Now, I've seen a few live painters and a few other vendors they have as well. But for someone who's never seen this before, what exactly do they do? What exactly do they deliver? Tell us all about this.
Okay, so a live wedding painter is an artist who comes to your wedding and paints throughout the whole night. And so it's a guest experience, and then you also get to take home a piece of art either at the end of the night or, after studio touch-ups, which is the way that I do it. Kind of the process for that, for anybody curious, is, so I have for me specifically, I do think I will say that every artist is probably so different in their process. Obviously, their art style is a huge one. But the way that I do it is people fill out an inquiry form. I have several fields and stuff on my form to where I can confirm availability. And so after that's confirmed, we do the contract, deposit, all the things. And then we always do a 1 month prior call. So we go over what exact pose they want. Some brides know exactly what they want. Some people give me creative freedom. It kind of just depends on the client. But we go over background, all the things, and then I arrive day of. Typically, I get my reference photos, and then I just paint on my easel the rest of the night. And so it's always a lot of fun for guests to get to watch. And I personally always take my wedding paintings home with me, do all the touch-ups, and then I either deliver or ship it to the clients a few weeks later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What part of the wedding do you usually capture? What's the main focal point?
So it really depends. I would say the most popular is definitely ceremony. The first kiss is by far the most popular with wedding paintings, I would say. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what all I've done. Some people just want it to be a candid moment. Some people like the first look.
Okay.
Those are my personal favorites, just because it's so natural, you get people just in their element. It's not this superposed moment.
Totally.
So I would say those are the two most popular, is the first look and also the first kiss. So as a bride, I chose to do a first look just because I wanted to go ahead and be able to get photos out of the way, to be completely transparent. I just thought that would be the most easy way, so I could enjoy the time after the ceremony as much as possible, with my friends and family that were there. But also to relieve nerves. I think that's something that was really important to me. I wanted our ceremony for us to not be super nervous, super uptight, super worried about what other people were thinking while they were watching us, because obviously all eyes are on you as the couple.
Yep.
And so having that moment was really sweet, because we were able to get all of the emotions out. And I think that's the part as a live wedding painter that's so sweet too, is you get to see that genuine reaction of, wow, this is our wedding day, and this is my first time seeing you, and we're actually doing this, And so as a live wedding painter, that's a really special moment to capture.
Absolutely. Are you standing there with the photographer and just snapping a photo on your phone?
Yes.
And then using your phone to reference?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now I just use my phone. Some wedding painters use a camera they bring.
Oh, really? They bring a whole camera there?
Yes. I've actually seen that on TikTok. Some wedding painters bring a whole camera setup, which is awesome. Maybe I'll branch out and do that one day. But right now I just do it on my phone.
Yeah.
So typically I get a few photo references, and normally during the actual moment I'll just kind of get a video, so I can get some still shots just to be able to capture the genuine moment, and also like if one person has their eye shut or whatever, that way I have multiple reference shots.
Sure. Super cool.
Yeah,
A lot of
those are definitely the most popular. Some brides, like you said, some people don't want to do a first look.
Right,
and
right.
I never try to push that on people. I just always say, it does help a lot from a live wedding painting perspective, just because I'm able to maximize my paint time, especially because all of my artwork that I do at weddings is very centered around the couple.
Right.
And it just maximizes my time to be able to work on them to make them look as good as possible
Amazing.
during the, throughout the ceremony and the reception. So that's why I like to encourage people to do a first look, and for the reasons I just mentioned too, because just from a logistics perspective, and it's just so special. I mean, it really is, because it's just like that genuine moment. But the brides that don't do a first look, typically it's at the ceremony or right after, because some brides, like we're talking about, don't want to do the first look, which I totally understand. That's totally fine. And so typically what I do in that case is I'll paint whatever backdrop that we had discussed like prior, and then I'll either get the shot during the ceremony, or I'll follow the photographer right after, and I'll just, grab the reference shot then. So, I mean, to me, I can make it work either way, but just doing the first look definitely maximizes the paint time.
That's amazing.
So
that's good.
But what I was saying about the ceremony is, and I'm sure you know this from a videography perspective, is, I do think sometimes couples will practice, the first kiss, or they want to do the dip or whatever. And sometimes it just doesn't go to plan. And so in that case, we'll always kind of pose it right after, just so we capture the exact, pose and moment they want captured in a painting.
Sure.
And so we can always make it work. That's the beauty of painting, is you can always, make it work, and change whatever you need to make it what the bride wants.
Amazing. So I love that, because with video, there's a lot of realism, like whatever's on the camera. Besides, I mean, you can color grade and crop and stuff, but that's for the most part, it's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
With photo world, yes, you do have Photoshop. Everyone knows about Photoshop. Yeah. But still, there's a certain element to it. You can edit a photo, but for painting, I feel like you can really enhance it.
Yeah.
I've heard of actually a painter. I don't know if you've ever done this, Mallory, but a painter where their dog wasn't at the wedding, but they wanted their dog to be in the painting. Have you ever done something like that?
I've not painted a dog in the wedding painting yet, but I have seen people do that. But I will tell you this story, just because I feel like it's just a great picture of what a live wedding painting can be for. Which I did this one actually post-wedding, but you could absolutely apply it to, in the moment. But the bride, her photographer did not capture the moment of her and her husband's first kiss. And just completely missed it. I mean, she sent me one photo, and it was them leaning in, but it wasn't the actual moment. And the bride was absolutely heartbroken about that. And the photo was there was a few things that were just wasn't great. It wasn't what the bride was wanting for her first kiss moment. And so she ended up sending me, I think, 3 different reference photos, and we were able to create this beautiful painting. It's seriously one of my favorite ones to this day, just because it's so vibrant, and it just looks like it all fits, even though we piece 3 different pieces or 3 different photos together. It just works. And so
that's incredible.
That creates I feel like a really good picture of what live wedding painting can do and offer for people too,
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And I'm sure you think about you talked about commission work. You can always hire someone like Mallory here to paint your wedding photo or enhance it, or if you miss something, that's a good idea too. But talk about some other well, actually, with the remainder of the day, and you have people talking to you, how are you even able to get a finished product? At the end of the night, how people love to see something, right?
Yeah.
Are you normally done with it maybe 80%, 90%, 50%?
Oh, gosh.
And before you take it home and do touch-ups?
I would say it depends.
How's that work?
I would say it depends, especially on how complex the whole painting composition is.
Right.
Kind of the way I tier it is I have 3 different packages. Every package kind of has a different tier of detail. As well as time I spent actually at the wedding painting. And so if you have a super, complex piece of architecture in the background, of course that is going to, take a lot longer than just focusing on the couple.
Sure.
And so it kind of depends. I would say if it's couple only, I would say I'm majority of the time around 80% done. But I do like to spend a lot of studio time no matter what stage of the painting is at the end of the night,
Absolutely.
But my goal at the end of every night, and I always like to tell my brides this, when we're on the on like the discovery call or the 1 month prior is like, I want them to know that I'm not going to leave until the painting looks to the guest like it's finished. Like, I want the guest to be like, wow, you did a great job.
Yeah,
like, you know, this is it. But I always do like to take it home for touch-ups, of course, just to make sure that I was like seeing, especially like skin tone accurately. It's really hard to see because obviously the reception normally ends when it's dark outside.
Sure.
And just to get those little details to really make sure it looks like the couple, that's something that I really like to focus on. And I feel like it's hard to do that in just, you know, a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Totally. That's great. Do couples ever underestimate what goes into creating one of these pieces? Like, do you ever talk with them and they're like, oh, wow, I had no clue all this went into all of this? Or
I've personally, I don't think I've ever heard that from a couple. I feel like going into it, most couples kind of know, especially just mainly because I'm in communication with the bride, they kind of know what to expect.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
But yes, I would say the thing that surprises people the most is like how much time I spend afterwards on a painting, like in studio, just because, like I said, I do like to get it as close to as possible to done, like at the end of the night.
Totally.
I think some people are like surprised when they learn that, oh no, I actually am taking this back to studio and adding, you know, 20 to 30 more hours on it, like depending on what is in the painting and everything.
Amazing. So you said there's a lot of pressure with live painting. Have you gotten to really love the, I know you talked about that one friend that you absolutely loved. Tell us more about that wedding. Why did you love it? And do you love the live interaction with the guests? And,
yes.
You know, do you feel like the guests really enjoyed your interaction, having you there? Like, is it, as we're talking about, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it for this bride to book a live painter? Like, what would you say to that as far as that experience?
Well, going back to the first wedding that I mentioned that I did after my like 2-year break, and I came back into this one for my friend, I think the thing that made it so special was everybody was truly just so happy to be there. I mean, it was just the environment. I'm sure you know, working weddings, every wedding has its own feel.
Right.
And this one, like, everybody was just having so much fun. It was a beautiful day. All the vendors were absolutely amazing to work with. And so I just got to, like, the vendors were coming over throughout the night. I was getting to connect with a bunch of them. Yeah. And then the guests were all just so encouraging, you know, just saying such nice things. And as the person that has, you know, the pressure on them, I mean, of course, I know that I'm not, you know, the star of the show of the night, but, you know, you do have a certain amount of pressure of just people wanting to watch and see what you're creating. And so having that pressure and then also getting the encouragement from the guests means the world. And so I think that is what made that one such a positive experience. Was I just received so much encouragement during that time, and it really pushed me to or made me want to, you know, do more live wedding paintings and just see where it could go.
Totally. Sounds like a fun job. I could never do it. I'd just be over there drawing stick figures, and everyone's like, what are you doing?
I get that comment so many times. People will come over to me and they'll say, I can't even draw a stick figure. I've heard that one more than anything else. It's like the comment I get every wedding.
You just make a shirt like that and put it on the back of your shirt. It's like, I already know what you're going to say.
Right.
Okay. So yes, that is one element of live painting where you have the, you know, the whole... how big is it, by the way? Is it like a 20 by 12 or what is this thing?
Well, that also kind of goes with the different packages.
Okay.
It's like the canvas size, because obviously the larger the canvas, the longer it's going to take, the more paint and stuff I need as well.
Right.
So mine start at an 18 by 24 inch. When I first started it out, I had one a little bit smaller, and it just didn't feel right. I feel like the 18 by 24 inch is a great starting point. And then I believe my largest size is a 20 by 30. I'd have to go back and check. I kind of forget off the top of my head.
Okay, right.
But I think it's around that.
That's awesome. I hope you guys that are listening right now are understanding too how much, I didn't realize this too until talking to you right now, Mallory, but a live painter, it's so much personality driven. And you think about your personality, you know, you love people, you love being with people and interacting. I think that goes, if you're debating on a live painter, like that goes a huge way. Like the personality of your live painter is a huge thing. Like think about your photographer. I don't know if anyone has been a bridesmaid or a friend of someone or whatever, and you might have been to a wedding where the photographer was just not very nice. a little rude, not very,
So
you know,
true.
it makes a big difference whenever you're like the planner or the photographer or other vendors are super nice, super supportive, super open, super friendly. And
Yeah.
same thing for someone like you, Mallory, like super friendly towards everyone. Like, hey, how's it going? Like in your painting, so you're not just stuck in your work or like a
Right.
hermit. Like even if you were the best painter, like your personality has a lot to do. And if you're debating on booking one, meet with them, talk with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you have a lot of videos, so people know your personality through social media too, which is a huge thing. But it's not just about the end product. Like it's like, how well do you work and interact with guests? I didn't even think that was part of the experience, but
Yeah.
you were teaching me some stuff, Mallory.
Yes, no, I was actually thinking about that kind of leading up to this episode, was how much of it is personality driven. And I
Yeah.
think anybody considering a live wedding painter, I think that's something so important to maybe know or encourage people thinking about booking with somebody, is ask them to do like a little discovery call.
Yeah.
You know, just like it doesn't have to be long, but just something to where you guys can, you know, chat, you kind of get to know each other and make sure it's a good fit, because it
Yes.
is way more than just the end product, like kind of you mentioned. It
Absolutely.
is the guest experience, and you want somebody that will fit well with the type of guest you have, and whether that person's more reserved or super outgoing and willing to talk to people, answer any questions. I think that goes a long way for sure, especially with the guest experience.
Yes, 100%. Talk about when you actually make the little paintings, little drawings for the guests. What is that? What is that?
Yes, the live guest
The
portraits.
live guest portraits, because I have a
They're
photo booth,
so fun.
and we have
Yeah.
printouts, like a 2x6 printout, so people can go to the photo booth, smile, pose, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a printer, it prints it out, and people loved it. Like their faces light up. Oh, I love it, and they take it home, put it on the fridge. But
Yeah.
you, even more individualized to that. Like I love that. Like artists, it's so authentic. Like it's like in the world of AI and all this modern technology with computers, you're just you with your supplies making the art.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us some more about that.
Yeah, AI definitely cannot replace that, I don't think. But yeah, live guest portraits are so much fun. Like when I tell you that they are such a hit at weddings, the guests absolutely go crazy over them. And I think every wedding I've ever done them at, I've gotten so many people come over to my table and they'll say, I've never seen this done before. This is such
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of fun to kind of get into that as well. I didn't start doing that one until a little bit later than the actual wedding portraits, but
Is that more stressful? Is it like more pressure or no?
I personally think it's more fun,
Okay,
almost
okay.
in a way, just because it's so interactive. I mean, the guests come over to my table, just to kind of give like some of the process is, I just have like my little table set up. Guests come over, we talk for a minute, I get their photo, and then I work on it throughout the night. And then people can come over to my table at the end of the night and pick up the ones that are finished.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I'm a one-man show for the guest portraits, I'm normally not able to get all of the guests finished, but that all the guests that take a photo at my table always end up getting one, because I'll finish them in studio and then ship them to the bride like within the next week. And so every guest gets something really special, whether that night or, you know, within the weeks following, a really special like token, I guess, like from the wedding to remember the night by. And it's
special.
so fun. It's like such a unique, fun way to, you know, show your appreciation for your guests, and also just provide entertainment as well.
Yeah.
The guests love them.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
they're
I bet.
so fun.
Do you ever have kids coming up to you and wanting to see what's going on?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Yes, kids and adults too.
And adults too.
Honestly,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
everybody loves to watch them. The funniest thing is when, you know, I'm sure this does not surprise anyone, but I'll have somebody say like, "Hey, can you add some more hair on my head, or can you make me look a little slimmer?" You know, I get that constantly. But no, the style I do it really, I do try to capture some, of course, like very like individual. Gosh, I'm losing train of thought. I try to capture some elements like of the people on the paintings that actually look like them. So
Okay,
you can
yeah.
look at the painting and be like, oh, that looks like me. But it's definitely more about like the outfit. That's kind of
Okay.
what I focus on. I do more of like fashion illustration. And so it's
cool.
not like a super detailed like caricature, but that's how I'm able to get as many done as I am throughout a night. It normally takes me around 5 to 10 minutes to do like one of those type of portraits. But the guests love them.
Yeah,
I mean, they're so much fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're set up at reception. They're coming in maybe during cocktail hour or dinner.
Yes.
And you're beginning this process.
Right.
And then by a certain point, they could, well, you don't give it to them there, or do you? Do you
Yes.
you give it to them?
Yeah. So as soon
Okay.
as it's done at my table, guests are more than welcome to come pick it up.
Incredible.
And I just do it in order. Like whoever is at my table first, that's who I start with. I do always try to prioritize. I always do one of the bride and groom.
Awesome.
And I always try to take note of like who their families are. And I always try to kind of prioritize the families a little bit,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
like moms and dads, grandparents,
Sure.
siblings. Just because, it's such an important night for them as well. And
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I, honor their families in that way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it
cool.
goes. It's so much fun.
That's
I
amazing.
love it.
Some brides are worried about if their guests are going to leave too soon. So I think
Yes.
if they have a live painter that's doing that, you could hold their artwork hostage so that they don't leave
Right.
until a certain point.
I have had some people come over that had small kids and they're like, hey, like my kids are about to go to bed. Can you hurry up and do
Yeah,
my
yeah,
portrait? And of course, I always try to, get those done. But it's a lot. It's a lot to do, especially
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
have, a pretty high guest count. I mean, that's
Sure.
a lot of painting to do in one night. And that's why I always, tell the brides beforehand, like, I promise you, the ones I don't get done tonight, like I'm going to get to you within, it's typically around a week.
That's incredible. I love that.
So,
and
yeah,
you do
it's
not see
fun.
that. I've seen that at one wedding done, and it was really cool. And honestly, as a DJ, when I was DJing that, I was a little jealous. I'm like, everyone's over there near the painter right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Maybe over here
Yeah.
on the dance floor.
Right.
But you were the star of the show. Yeah, the artist becomes the star of the show, and that, especially in that moment when you're waiting on that, like,
Yes.
people.
There's
that's
something
nice.
about people, and I think it's so like sweet and special. They love like seeing themselves. They're
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
I'm a part of this night. I'm a part of like this moment, and I get to like
Mm-hmm.
take this home and like remember this night by. And like I've even been sent like photos of like on my art accounts of people like hanging up their painting like from their wedding, or
That's sweet.
I've even had people like to tell you like how much people love them. And I would say also, I don't think people expect to love them as much as they do. Like I had a woman reach out. This was like a week or two after like the actual wedding where I had been doing these guest portraits. And she messaged me and she was like, hey, I don't know if you can even do this. She was like, but I am so heartbroken that I did not get a portrait from you at the wedding. Like, would you be willing to do one for me? And I can just send you a photo of myself like from that night or something like that. But she had never came over to my table. And so it just goes to show that people really love these, you
Yeah.
know, it's a really cool thing to have.
Did
And
you say
it's-
yes? $200.
No, I would not do that. But no, I was happy to, do one for her.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, it's
That's
just
so
such
cool.
a special thing.
What's more expensive, the big canvas or the guest experience for that?
I would say it depends. I think the canvas ends up being more, if you go based off of like my most popular
Okay.
size, which is typically the middle one, only because, I just spend way more time on those, you
Sure,
know?
sure.
So that's like the biggest thing. And then same way as I do the standard wedding portraits, it's the same way I do the live guest portraits. I offer different packages.
Absolutely.
Just to keep it, a little bit, to give options to couples, because I understand how expensive a wedding can be.
Sure.
And I also just try to keep it as simple as possible on my end, just because I know it's so overwhelming making decisions. That was one thing I hated planning my own wedding, was like, oh my gosh, there's so many options. I don't even know which
Sure.
one to pick.
Right.
And so I try to just keep it as simple as possible, as easy to book as possible for brides, or I get a lot of people that are, surprising the bride and groom. I've had that happen as well. And so,
Oh, sweet.
yeah, does that answer the
Oh, yeah,
question?
totally.
Okay.
If you had a bride here right now that you were talking to in a coffee shop or wherever, they called you up and they really just wanted to get your honest opinion, Mallory, like, I'm debating between having a live painter and not, like, what would you
Yeah. honestly
tell them? Of course, you are a live painter, so you're biased because
Yeah.
that's what you do. But also coming from, you just got married not too long ago, someone who is debating this, that already values art. 'Cause
Yeah.
you do have to value it and want that. What would you say to
Absolutely.
that bride that's really debating whether or not they should? Like, who is it not for, and who is it for? A live painter.
So I would say a live wedding painter is for someone who really wants to invest in something that's lasting far beyond the wedding day. Because, if you think about it, you spend so much money on flowers, on food, on drinks, on all these different things. And they're amazing in the moment. None of those are bad things at all. But you spend, thousands of dollars on this. But with the live wedding painting, you yes, it's, pricey to some people depending on how you value it, all the different things. People view that completely differently. But a live wedding painting, it's lasting. It's created on your wedding day. And historically, art only goes up in value over time. And that's pretty much, as far as I know, the only thing you can invest in for your wedding day that would go up in value over time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Is that right?
That's interesting.
I mean, I can't think of any other thing.
Totally.
I mean, for real.
Totally.
And art, or painting specifically, is one of the oldest art forms. And so it's something that you can add to your wedding that's so timeless. I mean, people have been painting for centuries. And not only that, but it's something you can pass down, which I think is such a cool part of live wedding painting. Is you don't only get to enjoy it day of and create a really cool experience for your guests, but it's something that you can literally pass down to your kids and your kids' kids and your great-grandchildren and all, down for as, far as it can go,
Absolutely.
And so I think that's a aspect of live wedding painting that is really important to think about. Incredible. It's lasting. It lasts far beyond the wedding day.
I love that. And no one, it's like no one really wants to throw away an art, like a piece of art.
Yeah.
Like even the guests that come and see you at the table.
Right.
When they receive it, even a few years later when you're cleaning something out, you don't want to throw that away.
Right.
It's a piece of art. Whereas maybe, again, like I have a photo booth and we have a printer too. And, it's around $1,000 to rent out and do, and we have someone man it. So it's like, there's a cost of $1,000. Or, you could pay a live painter $1,000 or $2,000 to do this more of a timeless experience. The photo booth is fun. I will say that too.
There's so much fun.
And you can take that picture home, but honestly, after a few years, you wouldn't feel too bad to toss that in the trash. I just toss this in the trash. If it's not, it's like, okay, not that sentimental, but a picture of like your family in that moment.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd ever throw that away.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Not to sell myself short of the photo booth. Y'all should definitely rent out my photo booth if you want to.
Absolutely. Everybody loves photos too.
But I do think, seriously though, you might want to consider if I want to do a photo booth, or maybe I do this live painter that has a guest experience that is in replacement of that, or maybe you're not going to have alcohol, so you don't have a bar, and you want to have like a cocktail hour experience.
Yeah.
But instead of like the bar being open or having hors d'oeuvres or something, you have a live painter there that's for that 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They're doing that before you come into reception. Like there's so many options, because a bar costs thousands of dollars. A photo booth costs about $1,000. A live painter can cost around $1,000 or $2,000 for that kind of thing, or upwards. So it's about what you prioritize.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
I know, hey, if you go all out with alcohol, go all out with photo, video, photo booth, DJ, all the stuff you can. But I think it comes down to priorities, which we have a video on priorities, so can watch that if y'all need. And who do you think, or have you ever known someone to regret booking a live painter? Was anyone like, oh my goodness,
I mean,
so sad.
I've personally never heard that. I will say I did a wedding in Arizona while me and my husband were living out there. But he said that he didn't necessarily like, his friend's wedding painting that he had done, but he really liked the thought of it. And so they had hired me. And so, but that's why I think it's so important to really know your artist, because I mean, yes, having a live wedding painter is great, but only if you really like the art style, and it's only a great guest experience if you feel like the artist's personality is a great fit, like for lack of a better word, like the vibe of your wedding. You want to make sure they will like click well and be able to engage with your guests well. Totally.
How do you have you ever had a wedding where you were like, I don't know why I'm here, or this is not the right fit, or maybe a bride was like, I need you to do this, and this way, and it was like totally different than what you normally do? Have you ever had that experience, or no?
I've personally not ever really had a bad experience,
That's
which
good.
I'm so thankful for. I have had a bride, they had a huge wedding, like massive wedding, and I felt like she, I feel like I don't want to be like too edgy to
No, you're good. You're good.
You can edit it at your discretion.
Yes.
No, but I had a bride, and she was so busy with everything else they had going on. I don't even think she came by or like necessarily wanted to come by and like see the painting at the end of the night.
Oh, wow.
Like I felt like she was had hired me more as like a guest experience, and also to get like the final product. But herself was so, which I'm not like upset about it at all, because I know it's a crazy day, especially if you have a lot going on and a ton of guests to say hello to, all the things. But that was like the only one where I felt like maybe it wasn't as big of a deal as other people, kind of treated it.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No,
but
totally.
That was like one experience I had where that I feel like maybe kind of went along with that question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What questions should people ask before they book a live painter? Like, obviously, you are painting in Tennessee, in Alabama, Florida, Georgia. You're kind of, that's
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah, I mean, you'll fly out wherever.
Yeah.
And people can book you for wherever, Mallory. But maybe they're not quite they're not going to hire you, or maybe they're going to hire someone else. What are some of those questions that you like? How do you know if they're going to be a good fit to interact with your guests? Like, what are some questions that couples can ask their live painter?
Yeah. So I would say, obviously, before you sign anything, before you put a deposit down, definitely just ask for a call to chat with them. Obviously, personality is huge. Like, do you feel comfortable asking your artists questions? Do you feel like your guests will have a good time engaging with them? Obviously, that's huge, and that goes beyond just questions. But in terms of actual questions to ask, I would say I would definitely ask to see what it looks like at the end of the night versus what it looks like after, studio touch-ups.
Gotcha.
That's something that I would personally ask for. I would also ask kind of what the contract looks like what cancellation. And that's just from a very practical standpoint. I actually had a bride ask me that last week. And I love that she asked that because I was like, that's important. Because if you're investing a lot, you want to make sure something crazy happens and the artist can't show up. What happens? Do I get a painting? Do I get my refund back?
Right.
That's from a very practical standpoint. And I think that's absolutely okay to ask. I guess I would also ask kind of what the process looks like. What all do I need to provide for the artist to be able to set up at the wedding?
Sure.
What all do I need to provide you with prior to make sure it's a very seamless experience? So yeah, I would ask just from a very practical standpoint, and then also just use the conversation from a personality aspect, just to kind of see if it feels like a good fit,
Absolutely.
And maybe also even ask, if the artist feels comfortable engaging with the guest. I'm not positive. I've not met many live wedding painting artists, but I would imagine they probably all have very different personalities. I'm sure some are very willing to engage with guests, answer any questions, and some probably prefer to not, So I think that's something that's really important, especially if you have a guest or a guest list that is super high energy, will want to be very engaged. So
Absolutely. Well, talking with you, Mallory, makes me regret not having a live painter. I wish we would have had a live painter at our wedding.
Yeah.
But again, you ask most people, and they're going to say, no, we did not have a live painter, because there are just not as many out there. I know they are out there.
Yeah.
But you see a Facebook post, hey, I'm looking for a photographer. You'll get 300 people commenting.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, I'm looking for a DJ, 150 comments. I'm looking for whatever. But hey, I'm looking for a live painter, and you'll get 3 comments.
Yeah.
3 individuals. So it's it's more niche, but it's just not as sought out after, sought after.
Yeah.
So I know I regret, I was like, hey, that would have been really cool to have a live painter there.
Yeah.
Of course, everything comes with more money and priorities, but I think it's definitely worth it if it's worth it to you. And if you're looking for something fun for your guest experience, that is a really good option for cocktail hour.
Yeah.
And for whatever else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you're debating it, I hope this has been a good episode to just kind of think through that with people. But also, Mallory, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and talk about on the back half of this episode, if there is an artist who's wanting to get into this, what would you tell them? What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell other artists? And also just to add, it's hard to do your own business and actually go through
Absolutely.
with it. Like you said, you were working in healthcare.
Yeah, I worked in healthcare for about a year before I transitioned over to painting full time.
Okay. Yeah. Anytime that someone's doing something creative, whether that's music or the art that you're doing, drawing art, whether you're a music artist or a painter, I really think that's amazing that you're doing that full time. You're going all in.
Yeah.
What's the biggest struggle, and what great tips do you have to people as they,
Well, I will say I'm still learning. I feel like I'm still a baby in this career field for sure. I've only been doing this full time for about 2 years, and it has been such a learning process, but also I'm so thankful for the journey that's led me here, because I can look back and see so much growth in pretty much every area, which is really cool to see.
Yeah.
But I would say for any aspiring artist, I think building your portfolio is the best piece of advice I could give to somebody. Just because if you want to increase your bookings, you got to have something to show for. And I don't think that necessarily means you got to have, 100 plus, but I think just like a few really solid pieces that you feel like represents your style and your work well, I think is so important. Whether that's, murals, whether that's live event painting, no matter live guest portraits, all of it. I think it's so important. And I would say starting out, this is something that I did, not necessarily intentionally. It's just the way it happened. But like even sharing my story of like how I got started live event painting, I did my first one for a friend. And it was such a good experience. But I think it also just helped build like my confidence too, like doing it for a friend. Just because like I said, like that was part of the thing that made it such a good experience, was it being somebody I knew, a familiar face. I wasn't going into it not knowing anybody. And so I think just being able to like offer it to friends or people you would feel like comfortable with, I think that's something that would benefit you like super well as an artist, to be able to say, I had this experience, I know kind of what it's like going into it. I know now that I have this experience, I know how much time it's going to take to do this part of the painting or this part of the painting. And also you can use it for your portfolio.
Yeah.
And so I'd say that's like my biggest piece of advice. And also just learning the business side. I would say that's something that I've personally lacked on, probably the most out of like everything since going full-time art, is you really have to know the business side. I mean, not just for like, all of it, like marketing, taxes, all of it. It's such a big stressor. You don't realize kind of going into it, because you just think, oh, I'm just going to paint all the time and it's going to be so much fun because I get to live out my dream. And then you spend majority of your time doing like admin work, just making sure you're, compliant and, doing everything well in that.
Sure.
And also building systems. I think that is something that is so important. Just so you kind of have, before you start, especially before you try to pursue it full time, is just to have those systems. So like when somebody inquires about a live wedding painting, like what does the PDF, like what does that process look like? Do I send them a PDF? Do I include all the information in like an email? Like do I just call them and tell them my stuff? I personally do a PDF. I just think it's easy to read, just to keep it as simple, as clear as possible, just to have everything written out so they can review it. And I'm happy to answer any questions that people have, but it is all kind of there. So
absolutely,
I would say systems, the business side, and building your portfolio are the three things I would say to aspiring artists.
Come on, Mallory.
Yeah.
Teach us the way. That is good. That is great.
I'm still learning though.
That is great.
My answer will probably be completely different a year from now, but
no, I love that. And again, brides or grooms, future bride or grooms who are watching this, you want to hire someone who's good with business too, who's good with the contracts, good with clear expectations for deliverables. So that's great. That's awesome. Very important, Mallory. I know that your friends and family are very proud of you. And what's one thing you'd want to see, like maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if you were to, look back on this video, mm-hmm. what are a few things that you really want to go full force into the next 5 years? Like where do you want to see yourself, and what do you see yourself doing as a live painter?
Yeah. So, I would definitely just say being able to work with more brides would be awesome. I do think it takes a while to kind of build up, a good reputation, and obviously building your portfolio and stuff. And like I said, I'm only 2 years in, and I know some wedding painters who do, 3 wedding paintings in one weekend. I don't know if I want to be that ambitious, just to watch my work evolve and change and get better with every wedding painting, I think is pretty much all I could ask for, and I'd be so happy with. And, just refining systems and just making it better as I go, I would say, for
Absolutely.
Live wedding painting specifically.
That's great. And you guys can find her on social media. We'll link that here in the description as well. Mallory Walls Artistry. Or, you might have been following her for a while and you might have seen her old handle and there's different things. But, as far as branding goes, we evolve over time. But Mallory Walls Artistry, you can find her online. Your handle might be changing, though, in the near future.
Okay, yes. We're in the process of getting the name legally changed. Awesome. It's a whole thing. It's a part of the business side I'm learning about right now.
But I hope y'all enjoy this. We are going to do one other episode, so stay tuned for that. And it's going to be all about debating whether or not you should get married on a weekend or weekday. Because Mallory, you got married on a weekday.
I got married on Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. So, stay tuned for that. Next episode's all about should I consider getting married on a weekday. So it's going to be great. Any last words that you have to say about live painting, murals, anything? I know this is your world.
Wow,
Is there
that's
any
so broad.
any last thing that
Oh
you'd
my
like to say?
gosh. I will say, which I'm probably biased, but in my opinion, you know, if the artist matches your style and, you know, y'all align in the same values, it's so worth the investment. It's absolutely worth it. Just because it's so lasting. You know, you'll pass it along, have it for generations.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I appreciate you having me. It's
Of
been fun to
course.
chat.